Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Proudfoot podcast. Today is the reveal episode for the 2-year-long campaign I ran with all my friends called Raiders on the Wall. This is a conclusion to the recap series that was 4 parts, all linked in the description down below this video. And in that series, there were secrets, mysteries, and other events that happened, which the party had no explanation for and did not know why it was occurring at the time. Well, today, for the very first time, you will see the party react to finding out the truth behind all of these secrets, mysteries, and events. So let's get started. I think we're done with the campaign summary, so I'll transition very smoothly into the reveals, not in any particular order, but I'll start with one. You guys already lived through the transition of the end of the world. Like, that happened halfway through the campaign. If you guys remember the great summoning session, so that was the session that was a 5-hour fight with the big cauldron.
And then Tim came and saved us or said, why did you keep calling us?
So that was the summoning of Ocrus, and Ocrus was summoned in that session. I had a whole system worked out where it was unlikely he was going to get summoned if you guys were able to do a certain number of things. So you guys did a lot, and you guys postponed it long enough that he only had a 25% chance of being summoned by the time that it did come down to it. I rolled the percentile and rolled 94. So I needed to get above 76, and I did. And I remember the number because I wrote it down because I was so shocked. I was like, oh my god, it fucking happened.
Dang. We were so close.
Well, yeah, like, so remember when I was rolling to sacrifice the kids?
Yeah.
So there were 4 locations. No, 3 locations where this happened, and they needed to all sacrifice a certain number of kids in a certain amount of time. 17, that's right. They all need to sacrifice 17 kids in a certain amount of time. So every round, I rolled a d4 to see how many kids they'd sacrifice in each location. So each location had its own d4, and then by the time 17 had been rolled, if it took too long, the odds got slimmer and slimmer that he'd be summoned. So if it took too long, then there was no chance, and this whole ritual would have gone to waste. All those kids would have been killed for nothing. But luckily, those kids weren't killed in vain. They brought about the great prince of undead, Ocrus. So it was all for a good cause.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay. Anyway, that's completely out of order from the reveal list I have. So I'll go back to the top.
Good.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Cletus origins. Okay. Does anyone have an idea for how Cletus actually manifested in that cellar?
He was just a cultist.
I thought he was summoned.
He was summoned.
Like, similar to how all the cultists were summoning all the other things. Like, yeah, okay, the shapeshifter is probably from the abyss or something.
So he was summoned by the cultists, and Swap, you're the only one who was here for that combat. Remember how all of them were jumping into that pit of fire willingly?
Yeah.
They were sacrificing themselves to get a certain result in the other room. So every time one of them died in the fire, that increased what was happening in the other room. And because you let all of them die that way, I got to maximize out what I had planned for that room. So the chalice, the amulet, and the sword and shield and Cletus wouldn't have all happened if some of them had not died from the sacrifice. But literally all of them got sacrificed. I'm like, well, I guess all of the items and the guy.
But I feel like we were all like very thankful of that because we were actually all gonna die.
And no, it was perfect because I kind of thought, like, I wasn't sure. I was still trying to figure out like where the balance was for the party, and we had 4 and 3. So like, I think Clegg, you had joined for the session just before that one, but then you weren't able to join for a few because remember the fight with the cultists and the stone dissolved. This was just before that. Yeah. And then Stewart was in and out too, but it was just the 3 of you. It was just Tifala, you, and Gremmgin. And I think because you guys were all like, oh, well, they're killing themselves, so this problem's solving itself. You guys didn't read too much more into it, which was fine. Yeah. And it worked out okay. You guys all ended up, well, never mind. You guys all ended up dead or gone. But to follow, the only person who didn't attune was the only person who didn't die.
Yeah.
So if Cletus was from a different plane of existence, how did he know the continent?
So I don't know where shapeshifters come from. That's my ignorance, but I, as the DM, get to say how things work. And the whole idea I had is like, Ocrus has cult followings in many different planes. So the
Sure.
whole idea was that Cletus was a doppelganger that was a follower of Ocrus brought into the realm solely to fuck with the party.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, that
Uh,
makes sense. Like
Yeah.
he was essentially like given information about where he was going and his objective and
Yeah.
yeah.
And
oh, yeah.
they bought his bullshit and hung out with him until you guys eventually got betrayed by him and killed him.
Yep. Fair.
Sure did.
So that's the first spoiler. So Cletus origins. Second one I have written down is Portal Switch. Wait, what? Portal on switchbacks. Oh yeah, Portal on switchbacks to Feywild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why did that
Yeah.
one destroy all of our organic stuff?
Yeah.
No fucking particular reason.
And why is it there?
So it's there as basically in the world. I just kind of always imagined lots of portals to the Feywild and to Shadowfell. And I think I imagine that because I have some vague recollection of some planes in D&D being described like there's these deep connections between these three planes. They're all kind of like squished in the planar structure together. So I like the idea of having portals to the Fey and portals to Shadowfell. Just kind of like to go between the two. And
Okay.
that portal particularly destroyed organic material, if you like, for the reason so that nothing poisonous can be brought to the Feywild from Craigshaft. But it was just I was thinking at that point as a DM, you guys haven't done many puzzles. I've given you a lot of RP, I've given you a lot of combat, but I remember because we were still new in the campaign and both Hannah and Nicole are new to D&D, so I wanted to give them the full scope of what you can encounter, and that puzzle was one of the things. And I thought if it opens a portal to the Feywild, then we can go faff around in the Feywild for a little bit and have a pointless adventure there, and it could be a lot of fun. And that was the whole reasoning behind the Feywild thing. It was just a little distraction from the campaign. That's all it was meant to
Fair
be.
enough. And it
Fair.
was.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You guys want to know the thing about Little John John, and I think that's quite a big thing. So Little John John was part of an ex-adventuring group in this world that had tried to fight the cultists earlier on in their growth phase of when they were cultivating a following and starting to really get going. They were early adventurers trying to stop that at the origin. What happened is they all got cursed by the cultists. They had some big epic defeat, got cursed. None of them realized that they had gotten cursed, which basically amounted to them becoming like sleeper agents effectively for the cult. They went and retired as a party. Some of them went to different areas, and you guys encountered 3 of these party members so far. The werebear that was an ex-party member of some unknown origin because you encountered them as a werebear. The elf you encountered later on in the north gate, and then Lil John John, who was the retired bartender.
Oh, that's
Or
a
not
shame.
retired bartender, retired adventurer turned bartender. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
They had a very sad backstory, but it was there to kind of have this vibe that the cult had been going on for a long time, and other parties that were not you guys had tried and failed to stop them. Then the Boggle. So the Boggle's not much of a reveal. It's just I think in the description in the monster manual it says like Boggles hang out in areas where there's like some sort of like magical activity or like Fey origin activity or something like that.
Okay.
And I remember I was looking up like creatures for the Fey when I was building that portal and stuff, and I was thinking, okay, I want to have like some Fey related creatures, and I saw that, I read that, and I was like, okay, this will be fun to throw in because there's the portal there. And you guys were supposed to encounter him before you found the portal, but you never went into that area. You were too infatuated with the puzzle.
Mm,
Fair enough.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
Solomon and magic I have written down. What do you guys want to know about Solomon and magic?
He was an idiot when it came to magic, but he's also a
Why?
dragon.
He's allegedly a dragon. I have never said definitively that Solomon is a dragon.
Okay, but he's been fighting the cultists for so long. they do these magic things, and yet he is so ignorant when it comes to cultists and magic.
Okay. So the way I'm playing this, you guys remember that Trevor is the blue dragon that's flying you out of Avalosi. So the way I'm playing this is Trevor is just info dumping on you guys. So kind of like the things that the DM's like, you don't get to know that yet. It's just that Trevor doesn't know that, so he can't answer the question.
Sure.
Trevor knew the adventuring party. Trevor knows Cletus. Trevor knows a lot of things. And one of the things Trevor knows is Solomon, because Solomon is an immortal human. But
I'm so
immortal does not
now.
mean immortal does
Okay.
not mean invincible. You can still die as an immortal being. But yeah, he's been around for a very, very, very long time. And yeah, he was like the champion of the humans. And there's more lore about humans that also Trevor can tell you, which is basically like humans used to be very prevalent on the plane, like many planes in D&D. Humans are the dominant race because they breed like rabbits and they just kind of go everywhere and do everything, and they're kind of like the cockroaches in the D&D world. They just kind of insert themselves everywhere. But there was a big cataclysmic event, and this was the flashback thing that I had kind of teased you guys with, where I said, oh, we'll switch to Warhammer, we'll do like a flashback and you guys kind of play characters. And I ultimately decided not to do that because I realized there was a big problem with it. It had a pre-written ending where none of your guys' actions would actually be your own free will, because it kind of already had happened in the past. So I thought best not to do that.
Right.
But the whole idea was that basically there was a time when humans were very populous and the dragons were around, but then the evil of the dragons decided that the humans were being too much of a pest, and in one fell swoop just decided to commit a whole genocide against the humans and leaving a very small population in this remote, desolate island, which happened to be the old island where dragons used to rule, which is why you guys found all those dragon relics. And they kept the humans in close check where they couldn't escape the dragons. So they're kind of held there as prisoners. And then that population still remains to this day.
Interesting.
But that island
That's
is
why
way
they
nicer
suck
than
so
the
much.
actual Dragon Island.
I know.
Yes, the dragons have receded in numbers. They're no longer the dominant population because of the second big event that happened in this world, which is when the other races that were now in the island and kind of under the dragon control banded together and rose up to defeat the dragons, which is the story you guys have seen in the caves a few times.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the dragons have receded to small remote areas and have dwindled in numbers, but they stay on that island because that island is so difficult and inhabitable for other races to visit or even try and get to. But it's super easy for them because they can just fly. So
Yeah.
that's why they're hanging out
Okay.
there and have that
Cool.
little hold. But yeah, that's Solomon, Goodman, and magic, and also a little bit of dragon lore that you guys
Wait,
get.
so why
Nice.
doesn't he know about magic? If he's immortal and he's lived a long time.
Everyone has character flaws. His character flaw is
Okay.
he's an idiot about magic. That was
Cool.
it was no more complicated than that.
All right,
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah. That's
He's a tactician. He's a seasoned veteran in military combat. Doesn't know a thing about magic. Doesn't have to.
Cool.
It's not his area of expertise.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
That's why he has the wizards living in his basement.
rent
Yeah.
free.
That's so weird.
It was
so
a
funny.
dungeon basement too. Very kinky.
Oh my god.
Oh, did I tell you guys this one already? I have Deirdre's purple powder.
No.
So
Yeah, no.
that I think I might have told you this at the time or very shortly after, but basically all it did is it made you guys immune to being poisoned and diseased for 24 hours.
Mm.
Nice.
Okay.
But you guys wouldn't have known that because nothing ever made you poisoned or diseased after that 24 hours, but that was the stew she randomly made. All her powders have random positive effects. Like the other one you guys had that gave you all the temporary hit points.
Mhm.
Well, I guess the protection from poison and disease would be really helpful when you're cooking with a bunch of shit that's poisoned and could give you a disease. So
Roadkill stew
there we go.
Nice.
with a bunch
Yeah,
of random mushrooms you found in the woods.
Yeah. We have
Yep.
we're not herbologists or fungologists.
Mycologist.
Yeah, that one.
Mycologist. Nice.
Yeah.
I have Dwergar written down. What is it that you guys want to know about Dwergar? I think you guys probably know a lot about Dwergar, but maybe there's something
think
that
it
I know
was
that you don't.
The
Yeah, I think you may
Dixon.
have. Oh no, you revealed it to us in terms of what color dragon he was, because we weren't
She.
sure
Oh
if he was a
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
she's a copper dragon. Yeah, that's right. And
yeah,
then
copper
Snef
dragon.
was the bronze dragon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
the main thing.
you had a great RP moment on this too, because they didn't know the color of the dragons because the book that Tifala had gotten was written by someone who didn't know everything. Um, and I did that on purpose because I like the idea of they knew something, but they didn't know everything because research isn't perfect, especially when it's just all based on, observation of these individuals.
What are you talking about?
I know. What
But
are you trying to
dragon
say,
research
Joe?
is very hard to conduct. They can't get them into a laboratory. They're very fickle to deal with. A lot of the people who try get burned, metaphorically speaking.
Probably literally too.
Probably literally too. But yeah,
Yeah.
Dwergar is a copper dragon. She is a chaotic good dragon, and she is one of the ancient dragons that basically is part of the dragon ruling class. There are the 6 of them that you guys met at this point, and they kind of oversee all affairs related to dragon and dragon related events. Nothing like bureaucratic dragons.
Of course.
Cool.
Nice.
Okay, Emily. 4 paintings. What are your theories?
Oh man. At first I assumed it was just showing different planes that were possibly like part of the cult. Like this section of the cult was trying to summon Ocrus from the abyss, but there were other cults in different planes. But that's really all I had.
So it's kind of funny, and some of this is like post hoc reasoning because I did legitimately make a mistake that I just justified, which happened several times in this campaign, as everyone's well aware. Which is I forgot that Ocrus is from the Abyss and not from the Nine Hells, and then I think for several sessions I kept making reference to it, but then justified it because in a lot of real world cults there is misinformation to the lower ranks, and the upper ranks know the true gnosis of the cult or the secret knowledge, right? So that's how I played that part off. But the paintings themselves are actually telling history of the land, and that layer, like their other layers, is naturally forming structures, right? Like they had the South Gate, which was that naturally forming structure, and then they had this one, which was a cave system under the Craigshaft Peak. And it turns out that that layer is something that predates the cult, and they just took it over. And those paintings were there before, and it's to remind the people of that underground community of the 4 pillars of this realm. So like there is the humans that once ruled, the dragons that once ruled, the Fae with their strong connection to this plane, and the hell that we need to avoid. So it's kind of like it was the mantra of the society, like the last current society to be there, of how they kind of viewed themselves in the world, like the things to recognize and be aware of, and how they kind of sit in the center of that, and they don't want their power taken away from these other 4 competing interests.
So is this sort of society from before when humans were still the prevalent species?
It would be from when it was the dwarves and half-orcs there,
Okay.
but the cult, like I said, has been manifesting for a long time, so they've overtaken this area, and they
Right.
kind of like just seized it, and now people moved out and said, well, we tried fighting the cultists, but we couldn't handle it, so we just left. And that's why there's
Yeah.
that huge, basically, encampment community in Dragonshard. It's all these people that just have tents and live there and kind of live this nomadic life, right? And that's a lot of people that have been displaced from the Craigshaft communities.
Hmm.
So like that town kind of exists as just a refuge from displacements. And that's why everyone there was like, don't fuck with the cultists.
Fair enough.
Right.
Okay.
Oh man, a lot of lore in the 4 paintings.
Yeah.
Nice.
All
Now
right,
we know.
everyone's favorite question.
What is a Dixon?
What is a Dixon? Are you ready to be so disappointed? Because
Oh,
you
no.
already,
Oh no!
No.
already know what a Dixon is. Because
No.
Is it just a
Oh.
totem?
no, the Shepherd of Fire told you it was basically a noun.
That just means a thing or something.
So again, I draw inspiration from lots of different mediums, and one of my favorite mediums is South Park. And there's an old South Park episode where they try and go to Starvin Marvin's Starvin Marvin meets a Martian, and then the Martian takes Starvin Marvin to the Martian's home planet, and the home planet has this alien race called the Marklars, and the Marklars refer to every noun as a Marklar. And the humans that come there are like, isn't that confusing? They're like, no. And then they give a demonstration about how they just use a sentence and like replace every noun with Marklar. And they seem to know what they're talking about.
So
Wild.
Tim actually was telling the truth.
Tim was actually telling the truth.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Which
then
sucks.
in this case, what
what were
was
the
it?
specific ones? Yeah.
What was the Dixon that Dwergar stole that these guys were guarding and so concerned about losing?
I'm going to be completely honest. I knew you guys would never find out, so I never actually concretely decided what it was, but it was something important.
Fair
It was
enough.
something important. They took something
How
important.
dare
Like
you?
more important than like one of the rods.
Yeah, I always imagined it as something big that was an enchanted item that was helping them somehow. So this could have been like a totem, like the ones you guys encountered. It could have been some desecrated object that had strong connection to Ocrus that they were keeping in that location for a reason that I cannot actually reveal yet, which is what happened to the summit of Mount Craigshaft since you guys visited it the first time and what was different about it the next time. But there may have been a lot of artifacts that they were hoarding underground there to manifest all of this necrotic and chaotic energy for Ocrus. So I always
Interesting.
imagined whatever Dwergar took to be one of those objects, but I never nailed down like this is exactly what the object was. But if something ever happened where you guys found Dwergar and the object, then I would have said, oh, it was blank and made something up. But it like this is what I mean when I say I plan things. Like I'll have the idea for it, and then the inspiration for what it actually is will manifest in the moment. But big important thing that the cultists needed to help summon Ocrus. Dwergar took it, made it slightly harder for them, but they still summoned Ocrus eventually.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry for the disappointment. Nicole was equally disappointed when I told her what a Dixon was. She's like, you have to make it something more important. I'm like, but that's what it was.
Oh
Oh, well.
And this is where everyone's like, Joe, you're never DMing for us again.
Yeah, we don't need to do a part 2 for this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Campaign's over.
Campaign's over. Yeah. Okay, so the next one I have on my list is Southgate dress rehearsal. I promise this one actually does have something that's concrete and connected to the campaign.
It's the dress rehearsal for Ocrus Rising.
Yeah. It was the thing you guys stopped in Craigshaft when you killed Solomon Goodman. When you all the party together collectively decided to kill Solomon Goodman.
Yes.
Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely.
Of course. Mhm.
I kind of figured that that's sort of what it was, is that they were just
Yeah.
going through the motions, and then like especially since like shortly after we then stopped them from doing a similar sort of stage thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then you guys weren't there when they actually did it because you left. And what happened was Nicole rolled a nat 20, which means you get the best possible outcome. And at the moment, I thought the best possible outcome is they don't do it tonight, but they're going to do it. They'll do it tomorrow night. And you guys weren't there the next night. So that's why it was very different when you came back. But yeah, I thought, nat 20 on convincing the cult not to do their big scary thing. They're definitely not going to just give up on it completely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But that's what all that was. And then the next thing I have written down is you guys know Gremmgin used the rod, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I have Gremmgin wish written down. You guys know Gremmgin used the rod to cast wish, but you all want to know what Gremmgin's wish was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you ready for what Gremmgin's wish was?
Yeah.
No.
Gremmgin and this explains why the cursed items were so cursy too. So it's the same thing. So Gremmgin wished, and this was so good because the cursed items make you want the cursed items. And Gremmgin's wish was that no one could take the cursed items away because everyone was talking about taking the cursed items away. And Gremmgin's like, no, you can't do that. So I just want to be very, very clear. If anyone had done remove curse up until this point, it would have worked as you would expect. But Gremmgin used wish to magically bond him and Hexan to their items, meaning the only thing you can do is cast Wish to undo that.
What a shit.
Wow. What?
You could have
So-
wished for anything, Gremmgin.
Could have wished to
Pony.
blow up.
Gosh.
But yeah,
Been
so-
there, done that.
That's what that was. And yeah, like rules as written, when a wish is used for something like that, it's like, no, you don't get to use a 3rd level spell to just undo someone's entire wish. Because it's more than the curse at that point, right? It's now not the curse, it's now the wish.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a curse and then a wish and then a curse on top, because you were warned that if you use the rod, there could be unseen consequences for using the wish spell. And the unseen consequences was that Gremmgin and Hexan kind of became, I don't know what the right word is, but I want to say conduits for Ocrus almost. Like they were like,
Emissaries.
yeah, they basically, without wanting to, became his unholy priests, where they were just fully entangled with his magic. And that's why Swap, whenever you got close to certain areas, your chalice would hit immensely harder than it did before. Gremmgin's sneak attack scaled a little bit, but Gremmgin died shortly before actually getting to do like some serious attacks. Like there was the stabbing of Rutherfordus, but that was about it.
Yep.
But yeah,
Nice.
that's why when you were around all of those vampires in the mansion that had the big statue of Ocrus, I was getting you to roll a D100 for damage.
That makes sense now.
Because just focusing on this, I think it comes a little bit later, but just getting ahead of myself. That was the location that Ocrus was summoned to, was that mansion.
Right. That's
Oh.
what we suspected
Oh.
when we first
That's what
went
you
there.
suspected. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, Clay. You guys were investigating, and the Shepherd of Fire had it X'd off, and then you guys are like, I bet Ocrus was summoned there, or something happened there. Like, I don't know if it was 100% certain, but I do recall, I think, Clay, in the session, you even said, like, I think that might be where they summoned Ocrus, or something along those lines.
Mhm.
But then
more
he
on-
wasn't there when we visited. He had already left.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Okay.
There's a minor reveal on that. Next I have Deirdre's baby, but I think everything that needs to be said about that has been said. Although I don't know if Swap and Conrad caught this, but in the campaign we're doing now, there was the thing that you guys as players learned about the night hags. It was kind of like about hags in general, and I remember I like watched that back when I was editing it, and there was a face that you and Clay made when I said about how hags will trick you to do their bidding and get you to do evil things. Or I said this elaborate thing. You guys both made faces like you're like, fuck you, Joe. This is exactly what Deirdre's doing to us.
Oh, I think I do. Yeah, I did realize that. I was like,
I don't
What are
know.
we doing right now?
mhm.
Uh-oh.
We were all sent by a hag into the underworld.
Luckily, I trust her with my life.
Oh, well, that's good.
Do you trust her with our lives?
The better question is, do you trust me with your life?
Not a
No.
chance.
Oh.
No, Deirdre is a saint and has your best interests at heart. And when I designed that encounter, I definitely didn't think that you'd just fight the hag and kill the hag and take the hag stuff in the house.
How could we?
How
I don't
could
know.
we?
I don't know. How could a bunch of murder hobos murder?
That is my mother. How dare you?
Oh.
I don't know if that's Deirdre and the baby, but yeah, I think you guys know everything you need to know about Deirdre. I don't think there's much more deep Deirdre lore than that. Shepherd of Fire Ocrus. There's a note written down here. What's the thing you guys would like to know about Shepherd of Fire?
Is
Was she
Tim
trying to overthrow Ocrus, or
Is she actually going to worship him? Because we talked a little bit about how Tim had said that she wants Ocrus's wand,
Mm-hmm.
and like how technically he's her patron, and all these
Yeah.
things, but
So you pretty much have a lot of the information you need for this, but basically you can have a love-hate relationship or a hate relationship with your patron, but they are, at the end of the day, still your patron, and your magical essence is drawn from them, roughly speaking, I think is the lore for Warlocks. So though Tim was saying to you guys, yeah, I don't like Ocrus, I am totally gonna betray him. Well, that may be her intentions. What happened when Ocrus got summoned may have changed that quite a bit. And I believe, yeah, you guys met Tim. Ocrus was summoned. Then weird things started happening with Tim. Was the chain of events
like
there.
our stuff doesn't work anymore from
Your
Tim.
stuff doesn't work anymore. Maybe Tim was a little bit too cocky, and once Ocrus was actually in the plane, submitted to her patron, and it's just like, yeah, I can't take on my patron if they can if they're the ones drawing my power. I can't really trick them too easily.
Well,
But
maybe Tim should have joined us.
maybe Tim should have
Exactly.
joined you guys. But yeah, Tim was kind of playing both sides, and it didn't work out for Tim.
Oh well.
Poor
Mhm.
Tim.
She got what she deserved.
Wow.
Magic
I mean-
items. I think we revealed everything about the magic items because it was tied in with Gremmgin's wish.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the wish
Mhm.
was the missing piece.
Mhm.
Yeah, you guys were wondering, why is this making my face melt? And it's like, because Gremmgin wished that no one can remove it, and if someone tries, great harm would come to them. And then the DM's like, yes, great harm. This is so entertaining for me. I already told you guys about the sacking kids. That was the whole Ocrus reveal thing. So that's actually this page here. So you guys see I got the boxes there. I'm counting the sacked kids, and then there's a percentile thing that's going on for Ocrus. And what it was is, finally by the 9th round of combat, I had reached the threshold and could summon. If you had gone 2 more rounds, or if you guys had stopped the sacrificing somehow, Ocrus wouldn't have been summoned. So it was literally 2 rounds away. It was so close.
Wow.
Cool.
Great.
Great.
Don't you like hearing how you almost stopped the apocalypse?
And how it was so unlikely.
I don't know. I could probably work out the odds, but I think it was pretty likely that it would happen. I think it worked out that it was, let's see if I look at here, because basically I needed to get 17 in 3 locations, and I had 10 rounds to do it. So that's 10 rounds to get 17 on a D4, right?
Mm.
So if you
Pretty
think, like, if I
easy.
roll 10 D4s, what's the average roll I'm gonna get? I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but we could figure that out.
25.
25?
Well, the average of one roll is
Yeah,
2.5.
that's right. Yeah.
So 10 rolls would be 25.
So it was more likely
It's
than
too late
not.
for math.
It's
It's
more likely
1
than
o'clock
not.
here. Calm down.
I am old and tired.
Conrad is young and not tired.
I am young and tired.
Okay, well then let's move this along. So you guys know what happened there. Ocrus got summoned. He got summoned to the vampire mansion. Kids were killed. Gremmgin killed
Yeah.
more kids, but those kids didn't count because they weren't thrown in the cauldron. It was only
True.
cauldron kids. Those
Fair
those
enough.
cage killed kids don't count towards the summoning, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Only
yeah.
free range.
Only free range kids, that's right. Ocrus isn't about those cage kids. He's very anti-cage kids.
Good for
Fair
him.
enough.
I don't know what BSC stands for, but in Grasslands, I know what BSC in Grasslands.
Bachelor of Science.
Something about the Grasslands to be revealed. Oh, Black Cultist, maybe?
Black Shipping Company.
Black shipping company.
Oh, the Black Shipping Company in the Grasslands. Yes.
Yeah.
That was me trying to get you guys to go with the Black Shipping Company. That was a different vessel. but you
Mhm.
recognized or no, you weren't the same person. So, oh no, you were still Hexan then. Yeah, you recognized something about them being from the Black Shipping Company. But they were so the Black Shipping Company, because I can't reveal everything about them yet. Basically, you guys know everything you need to know about them. They are the transporter of exotic fruits, since exotic fruits grow far away from all of the places you've been. They ship them around the continent, and apparently there's no rivers anywhere that run mainline through the continent, so everyone travels around it. Because someone who created the world forgot to put in rivers for some stupid reason. What an idiot that guy is.
I wonder where all the fresh water is that people drink.
Well water. It's
Yep.
underground, like all good things.
That
Isn't that
explains
right,
why they have
Fargrim?
all these caves. Because
Yep.
they need
Exactly.
them to get drinking water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not because when the DM designs worlds, he designs them like Minecraft.
Yep.
What? There's a mountain? There's a huge cave system in it every time.
Every time.
Fair
Every
enough.
time. Okay, so moving right along, big boom at the vampire mansion that Tifala heard. That was Ocrus flying away to go to the summit of Craigshaft that was now ready for him.
We were one day away.
Jeez.
God damn.
We thought
Yeah.
it was the pipe exploding.
No, what's so funny about that? He was there the first time you guys were there, and you left and went to the town for a day, and then came back. And I was laughing so hard.
You know, probably for the best.
I was just
We
like
would have
wondering.
died.
Honestly. Yeah. But yeah, you guys went there and you discovered all the vampires and you saw the statue of Ocrus, so it was very much that vibe. Hexan explodes. I think you guys know the answer to that. It was because of the curse that said great harm would come to someone who tried to remove the necklace, and Hexan removed
Well.
the necklace successfully.
Great harm
There we go.
indeed.
Yeah. Nicole's big emphasis when she was telling me the wish, because she didn't want me to like give her like a genie twist sort of thing. She said like no one is able to remove it, like no loopholes or anything, like any sort of removal. So it didn't matter that Gremgin was dead, it was still a removal. But luckily when Hexan died, he exploded and had already successfully removed the necklace, so it was fine for everyone to grab. That was the loophole.
Maybe we could have
Nice.
just thrown Gremgin's body into the volcano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You guys
carrying
find-
Gremgrim's body to the volcano that would have been the problem.
Yes, that's right.
I
That's
can't
right.
carry the necklace, but I can carry you.
I actually thought about that when I was listening back to it, because Gremgin became Count Gremgin, but then Gremgin got bit by a vampire, and it is a popular conspiracy theory that Gremgin will rise as a vampire. So now we have Count Gremgin that's actually Count Gremgin.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's
But
hilarious.
will Count Gremgin the vampire be cursed? Because
Well, Count Gremgin no longer has a cursed item.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the vampire that turned or sired Gremgin was a follower of Ocrus, as you can all imagine, being of that mansion.
What?
Gremgin died while cursed by Ocrus. I think it's well within the lore and plausibility that Gremgin is now a follower of Ocrus. And I think that's the perfect fate for someone who used the rod and died well cursed by all these things.
yeah,
In D&D, are vampires
Vampires are
like
undead.
no. I mean like do the vampires have to obey the person who turned them?
I don't know. To be honest, I haven't read all of the single page of vampire text in the monster manual. I don't know if they have to. I think not so much the siring vampire, it's more all the cursedness
Sure.
surrounding Gremgin.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Makes sense.
it's something I will read now at 2 a.m. Be like, you know what? I need to know this thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
Chalice, we know what's up with that. A lot of these actually just tie back into Gremgin casting Wish that no one actually knew what the wish was of. And the final thing I have is Cabin in the Woods and Philip Pilson. But I think you guys know what was up with Philip Pilson, but maybe you don't.
No, tell us.
Oh, he was a cultist.
What?
He was 100% a green cloak that was just tricking you guys. And it was basically like remember how he said that the cultists had infiltrated the festival planning committee and he didn't know about it, he was none the wiser. He knew completely about it. He told you exactly what their plans were. He just framed it like he wasn't the wiser. He knew his friends were cultists. He brought you there to try and kill you guys. And I
Wow.
gave Vito a secret mission for that because I thought it'd be fun if the NPC had a secret mission. And he was supposed to successfully sneak a cursed coin onto one of you guys, which he did.
Huh.
Because
Yeah.
There we
to
go.
drop something on you guys is against your passive perception. I said, don't do
It could
don't
have
do
been
Tal.
Tal. Yeah.
Don't do Tal.
It's probably me.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
Nice.
he was just there to make sure you guys stayed tracked by Ocrus.
Man, so I
Hmm.
made like 40 insight checks, and my insight is so shit that I never got a clear read on it.
Well, I mean, like whether it's you get a good one and then a bad one, it's like, well, which one do you believe?
Well, and that's why I started pulling those behind the screen because I didn't want too much meta thoughts on the rolls versus what I was telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you get a bad roll and I say, oh, you trust the guy, then your brain as a thinking rational person is like, I shouldn't trust this guy.
Right.
hmm
It's like,
So
not
it
that I
was
don't
a
trust you to
torture
metagame,
chamber.
but it was 100%
I
a torture
knew it.
chamber. I would
I
never
knew
put
it.
something as vulgar as a sex dungeon in my campaign. I would just make you think that I did that.
It wasn't really. Yeah. It was more like a secret sex room rather than a literal dungeon. It was a metaphorical sex dungeon.
It was a metaphorical dungeon because it was on the second floor.
Yeah.
The literal dungeon was in the basement with the, if we will not forget, the flayed gnomes.
We will never
Yep.
forget.
We will never
Um,
forget. That's exactly it.
That he allowed that to happen.
He did allow that to happen. He's one sick fuck, isn't he?
I'm glad I stole all of his stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't deserve his magic items.
Uh,
And that was the last reveal I had written down. So if there was any final questions you guys have, feel free to ask them now.
Oh no.
ooh.
This is your last chance. When you're all
Yeah.
primed to think at 10 o'clock at night or 1
Oh.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it was.
What?
When I licked that guy's blood and
Oh
just
yeah,
spoke to
you
me.
kept hearing things.
That was the green blood of the oh yeah, the like kind of phantom or whatever. Or no, that was before you became a phantom. That was yeah, that guy was 100% a dragon. That was one small tiny reveal, is like you guys were kind of sus that some of the people in there were dragons. That guy that you killed, 100% was a dragon.
So
Wait,
why
which
was
guy?
So the when you were in the keep and there was the guy reading and then
Oh
he
yeah.
like yeah. I think you guys killed that guy and he was supposed to be a dragon, I'm pretty sure. If I remember my thoughts correctly at the time, which is why
But
he was all
then
green on the inside.
but then Daphne was drinking or licking the blood
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
kept hearing a voice and then tried to get Tal to lick the blood.
So Tal didn't lick the blood, or did he?
No.
There's something else you did where I got you to
did not cave
roll
to peer pressure?
a save or something. I can't remember what it was though. I think you had like licked something unsafe. Oh, there was some monster part that Tal decided to like eat or something because he was investigating it.
I mean, there was the time that I just like started skinning the bear or like cutting up the bear after we killed it.
Anyway, I'll answer your
Um,
question instead of filibustering. um, so the voice was it was some evil being reaching out to you because licking blood is a very chaotic evil thing to engage in.
That is so cursed.
And as a warlock, what I don't know if this is like canon in D&D, but one of the things I imagine is that other patrons are jealous of other patrons for having followers, and if they see an opportunity, they will try and sway that person. So
So they're like, there's this little weirdo licking blood off.
Daphne
something
was being
just
poached.
to see what happens, and they're like,
Perfect
"That's an
follower
evil
for
being."
me.
and some evil greater demon or archdevil is like, yes, num 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 num.
Fair
Um,
enough.
so it was just it was kind of like a warning of engagement in certain behavior, and if you kept indulging it, other things may or may not have happened, but it kind of seemed to peter out pretty quickly there. So I think Daphne got the message of maybe I shouldn't lick random blood.
I
Nice.
feel like she didn't learn that message. She's
fair.
absolutely gonna do it again.
Very much so.
Probably.
She just got
Yeah.
distracted.
Other stuff was happening.
And that's where our conversation ends. I'd like to give a special thanks to Emily, Conrad, Clay, and Swap for sitting down with me and recording these videos. We sure as heck had a lot of fun making them, and I really hope you had a lot of fun watching them. If you did, please consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel for more D&D and TT RPG related content. If you like the 80 Proudfoot podcast, you can follow us on Instagram, Spotify, or Twitter. And as always, may the gods have mercy on your soul.